and you think, well, gee, that's really amazing. 60 degrees, that kind of sounds familiar. 60 degrees, 60 degrees, 6666. What's that number? That sounds familiar, doesn't it? 666. Gee, it's supposed to be an evil number, the number of the beast. No, they don't want you to go there. That's why they say it's evil. Okay? Just about everything they say it's evil is because they don't want you to touch it. They don't want you to know about your serpent origins and the serpents and the roles they've played. And they don't want you to know about the number 666. It is 60 degrees, 60 degrees, 60 degrees. It is the holy triangle of light. And we can do that for our beloved Freemason friends. Nah, they're good guys too. My father was a Freemason. It's all right. Okay, just wish they'd listen to me a bit more. Okay. That's all right. You've got to love all the guys. You know, they've done a lot of good work. Look, there's only a tiny minuscule of people in that organisation that are evil. The rest of them are just beautiful beings doing a lot for the community. So it's not about judging, really. All right. So basically, you now have 8192 or 81918 on each corner. And that is the unification, the Holy Trinity, of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit in religious terms. That is the unification of all three, bringing all three in at the same time to combine and become one. The unification of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. And again, that is Westernized terms. Every culture can look at this and have their own words and their own terminology that they use for those same names. Okay, it's not about a one-eyed perspective. So now we take that into consideration. You think, okay, so you did mention before about the planetary light body, the planetary light vehicle being activated. So we go back to the global picture, and you have 0 degrees, 0 degrees, 30. Okay, so we set at 60 degrees, that's where the harmonic, so that forms the base now for an amazing thing. Okay. Alright, because it just so happens to form the base for the triangle. And there you have it. Okay. That harmonic will activate the planetary light body, the planetary light vehicle, also known as the Merkabah vehicle. Please don't think of this as a religious symbol or the symbol of a nation. Okay, like I said, we're coming from beyond and above all that stuff. Okay, this is the energy of what is. You can go, okay, so you've given us 24,832 years, but you know, time is measured on a linear fashion, and you could say it could be anywhere along that timeline, okay? So what is it about a specific date? And you think, okay, we'll move to that now, the actual date. 21st March 2013. That is when the cycle closes on the day, and that is the day that harmonic kicks into gear and activates the planetary light body. And when you write this date, rewrite it, you go 2103, as we write it here in Australia, and you go 2013. And that's interesting. You look at the 1 representing the whole, the oneness, has now moved across, and it's gone away from polarity, okay, and has moved into the Trinity. It's shifted across. Alrighty. And you think, well, yeah, but that's still a bit how you're going. It's not really quite rock solid. We're dealing with harmonics, and we're dealing with symbolism. Pictures go beyond, they penetrate the veil of this reality, they go into the soul of a being, okay? Every picture tells 1,000 words. It's very important that pictures and pictorial diagrams are used, and monuments, very powerfully symbolic because there's mathematical measurements in them and what have you, sacred geometry, and they tell so much, they tell enormous stories. Okay? But when you look at it also, you can go 2 plus 1, 2 plus 1. So what that gives us now is 4 groups of 3. Okay, it's important to remember that. We now have 4 groups of 3. 4 groups of 3, so what's the number 4 so important? What we have, everything that makes up this reality that we exist in, and in other realities up until, like I said, the veil of the 7th dimension, where physicality loses itself and you become energy flows, okay, requires the culmination of what we call the 5 Platonic Solids. Okay? Depending on how you arrange your energy, your gases, your liquids and your masses determines the outcome of what gets manifested into physical reality. Okay, so what we have is what's known as the 5 Platonic Solids, and we have, the first one we say is the tetrahedron, okay, which is the energy. And the second one we have is the octahedron, okay, which is the gases. And we have the icosahedron, which is the liquid form. And we have the hexahedron, which is a cube, which represents the masses, the solids. And then we have the dodecahedron, which represents the intent, or the spirit. Okay? And I recommend everybody to look this up, because I can't go spending the time, that's a whole lesson of hours in itself, is to please look that up, because it's very important that you look at the golden ratio and you look at the Platonic Solids. It'll give you a great understanding of how our reality is put together. And the purpose of things existing, like a tree. You know, there's a great consciousness that goes behind a tree and its existence and why it looks the way it does and expresses itself the way it does. And then you understand why you do. It's really important. So we had the 4, and you say, but you wrote 5 down, okay? So we'll go back to the circle and the cross again. Okay, and here we can go the tetra, the octal, the hexa, and the icosa can go there. Okay? And you go, well, where does the dodeca sit? Well, that sits right in the middle. The intersection of the cross is what represents the eternal ether. Okay? The eternal flame. So that is the spirit. Or, like I said, dodeca, or the intent. Sits there. Okay? And so the 4 groups of 3 are the 3. So the energy, 81918. Okay? So you have the energy, the gases, the liquids, and the solids, everything that manifests this reality into being, governed by the eternal ether, okay? The eternal spirit of God. On that day of March 21, 2013, will be unified into the golden light, and this reality, this planet and everything on it and in it will lift up into that 5th dimensional bubble holograph frequency and exist in the golden age, what we call the golden age that is coming.